Genesis chapter 41. When 2 full years had passed, Pharaoh had a dream. In his dream, he was standing by the Nile River. 7 cows came up out of the river. They looked healthy and fat. They were eating some of the tall grass growing along the river. After them, 7 other cows came up out of the Nile. They looked ugly and skinny. They were standing beside the other cows on the riverbank. The ugly, skinny cows ate up the 7 cows that looked healthy and fat. Then Pharaoh woke up. He fell asleep again and had a second dream. In that dream, 7 heads of grain were growing on the stem. They were healthy and good. After them, 7 other heads of grain came up. They were thin and dried up by the east wind. The thin heads of grain swallowed up the 7 healthy, full heads. Then Pharaoh woke up. It had been a dream. In the morning he was worried, so he sent for all the magicians and wise men of Egypt. Pharaoh told them his dreams, but no one could tell him what they meant. Then the chief wine tester spoke up. He said to Pharaoh, "Now I remember that I've done something wrong." Pharaoh was angry with his servant. "He put me and the chief baker in prison. We were in the house of captain of the palace guard. Each of us had a dream the same night. Each dream had its own meaning. A young Hebrew servant was there with us. He was a servant of the captain of the guard. We told him our dreams, and he explained them to us. He told each of us the meaning of our dreams. Things turned out exactly as he said they would. I was given back my job. The other man had a pole stuck through his body. So Pharaoh sent for Joseph. He was quickly brought out of the prison. Joseph shaved and changed his clothes. Then he came to Pharaoh. Pharaoh said to Joseph, "I had a dream. No one can tell me what it means, but I've heard that when you hear a dream, you can explain it." "I can do it," Joseph replied to Pharaoh, "but God will give Pharaoh the answer he wants." Then Pharaoh told Joseph what he had dreamed. He said, "I was standing on the bank of the Nile River. 7 cows came up out of the river. They were fat and looked healthy. They were eating the tall grass growing along the river. After them, 7 other cows came up. They were bony and very ugly and thin. I had never seen such ugly cows in the whole land of Egypt. The thin, ugly cows ate up the 7 fat cows that came up first. But no one could tell that the thin cows had eaten the fat cows. That's because the thin cows looked just as ugly as they had before. Then I woke up. In my dream, I also saw 7 heads of grain. They were full and good. They were all growing on one stem. After them, 7 other heads of grain came up. They were weak and thin and dried up by the east wind. The thin heads of grain swallowed up the 7 good heads. I told my dream to the magicians, but none of them could explain it to me. Then Joseph said to Pharaoh, "Both Pharaoh's dreams have the same meaning. God has shown the Pharaoh what he is about to do. The 7 good cows are 7 years, and the 7 good heads of grain are 7 years. Both dreams mean the same thing. The 7 thin, ugly cow that came up later are 7 years. So are the 7 worthless heads of grain dried up by the east wind. They are 7 years when there won't be enough food." And it's just as I said to Pharaoh. God has shown Pharaoh what he's about to do. 7 years with plenty of food are coming to the whole land of Egypt. But 7 years when there won't be enough food will follow them. Then everyone will forget about all the food Egypt had. Terrible hunger will destroy the land. There won't be anything left to remind people of the years when there was plenty of food in the land. That's how bad the hunger that follows will be. God gave the dream to Pharaoh in 2 forms. That's because the matter has been firmly decided by God, and it's because God will do it soon. So Pharaoh should look for a wise and understanding man. He should put him in charge of the land of Egypt. Pharaoh should appoint officials to be in charge of the land. They should take 1/5 of the harvest in Egypt during 7 years when there's plenty of food. They should collect all the extra food of the good years that are coming. Pharaoh should give them authority to store up the grain. They should keep it in the cities for food. The grain should be stored up for the country to use later. It will be needed during the 7 years when there isn't enough food in Egypt. Then the country won't be destroyed just because it doesn't have enough food. The plan seemed good to Pharaoh and all his officials. So Pharaoh said to them, "The Spirit of God is in this man. We cannot find anyone else like him, can we?" Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, God has made all this known to you. No one is as wise and understanding as you are. You will be in charge of my palace, or my people must obey your orders. I will be greater than you only because I'm the one who sits on the throne." So Pharaoh said to Joseph, "I'm putting you in charge of the whole land of Egypt." Then Pharaoh took from his finger the ring he used to give his official staff. He put it on Joseph's finger. He dressed him in robes made out of fine linen. He put a gold chain around Joseph's neck. He also had him ride in a chariot. Joseph was now next in command after Pharaoh. People went in front of Joseph and shouted, "Get down on your knees." By doing all these things, Pharaoh put Joseph in charge of the whole land of Egypt. Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, "I'm Pharaoh, but unless you give an order, no one will do anything in the whole land of Egypt." Pharaoh gave Joseph the name Javanes Paneah. He gave Joseph a wife. She was Asenath, the daughter of Potiphera. Potiphera was the priest of On. Joseph traveled all over the land of Egypt. Joseph was 30 years old when he began serving Pharaoh, the king of Egypt. He left Pharaoh's palace and traveled all over Egypt. During the 7 years, there was plenty of food. The land produced more than the people needed. Joseph collected all the extra food produced in those 7 years in Egypt. He stored it in the cities. In each city, he stored up the food grown in the fields around it. Joseph stored up huge amounts of grain. There was as much of it as sand by the sea. There was so much grain it couldn't be measured, so Joseph stopped keeping records of it. Before the years when there wasn't enough food, 2 sons were born to Joseph. He had them by Asenath, the daughter of Potiphera. Potiphera was the priest of On. Joseph named his first son Manasseh. That's because he said, "God has made me forget all my trouble and my father's whole family." He named the second son Ephraim. That's because he said, "God has given me children in the land where I've suffered so much." The 7 years when there was plenty of food in Egypt came to an end. Then the 7 years when there wasn't enough food began. It happened just as Joseph had said it would. There wasn't enough food in any of the other lands, but in the whole land of Egypt there was food. When all the people of Egypt began to get hungry, they cried out to Pharaoh for food. He told all the Egyptians, "Go to Joseph, do what he tells you." There wasn't enough food anywhere in the country, so Joseph opened the storerooms. He sold grain to the Egyptians because people were very hungry all over Egypt. People from all over the world came to Egypt. They came to buy grain from Joseph. That's because people were very hungry everywhere. Genesis 42. Jacob found out that there was grain in Egypt, so he said to his sons, "Why do you just keep looking at one another?" He continued, "I've heard that there's grain in Egypt. Go down there, buy some for us. Then we will live and not die." So 10 of Joseph's brothers went down to Egypt to buy grain there. But Jacob didn't send Joseph's brother Benjamin with them. He was afraid Benjamin might be harmed. Israel's sons were among the people who went to buy grain. There wasn't enough food in the land of Canaan. Joseph was the governor of the land. He was the one who sold grain to all each people. When Joseph's brothers arrived, they bowed down to him with their faces to the ground. As soon as Joseph saw his brothers, he recognized them. But he pretended to be a stranger. He spoke to them in a mean way. "Where do you come from?" he asked. "From the land of Canaan," they replied. "We have come to buy food." Joseph recognized his brothers, but they didn't recognize him. Then Joseph remembered his dreams about them. So he said to them, "You are spies. You have come to see the places where our land isn't guarded very well." "No, sir," they answered. "We have come to buy food. All of us are the sons of one man. We are honest men. We are not spies." "No," he said to them. "You have come to see the places where our land isn't guarded very well." But they replied, "We were 12 brothers. All of us were the sons of one man. He lives in the land of Canaan. Our youngest brother is now with our father, and one brother is gone." Joseph said to them, "I still say you are spies, so I'm going to test you And here's the test. You can be sure that you won't leave this place unless your youngest brother comes here. You can be just as sure of this as you sure that Pharaoh lives. I give you my word that you won't leave here unless your brother comes. Send one of your back to get your brother. The rest of you will be kept in prison. I will test your words, then we will find out whether you are telling the truth. You can be sure that Pharaoh lives. And you can be just as sure that if you are not telling the truth, we'll know that you are spies. So Joseph kept all of them under guard for 3 days. On the third day, Joseph spoke to them again. He said, "Do what I say, then you will live, because I have respect for God. If you are an honest man, let one of your brothers stay here in prison. The rest of you may go and take grain back to your hungry family, but you must bring your youngest brother to me. That will prove that your words are true. Then you won't die." So they did what he said. They said to one another, "God is surely punishing us because of our brother. We saw how upset he was when he begged us to let him leave, but he won't listen. That's why all this trouble has come to us." Reuben replied, "Did I tell you not to sin against the boy? But you won't listen. Now we are being paid back for killing him." They didn't realize that Joseph could understand what they were saying. He was using someone else to explain their words to him in the Egyptian language. Joseph turned away from his brother and began to weep. Then he came back and spoke to them again. He had Simon taken and tied up right there in front of them. Joseph gave order to have their bags filled with grain, and each man's money put back into his sack. He also made sure they were given food for their journey. Then the brothers loaded their grain on their donkeys and left. When night came, they stopped. One of them opened his sack to get feed for his donkey. He saw his money in the top of his sack. "My money has been given back," he said to his brothers. "Here it is in my sack." They had a sinking feeling in their hearts. They began to tremble. They turned to one another and said, "What has God done to us?" They came to their father Jacob in the land of Canaan. They told him everything that had happened to them. They said, "The man who is the governor of the land spoke to us in a mean way. He treated us as if we were spying on the land. But we said to him, 'We are honest men. We are not spies. We were 12 brothers. All of us were the sons of one father. But now one brother is gone, and our youngest brother is with our father in Canaan.' Then the man who is the governor of the land spoke to us. He said, 'Here's how we'll know whether you are honest men. Leave one of your brothers here with me. Take food for your hungry families and go. But bring your youngest brother to me. Then I will know that you are honest men and not spies. I will give your brothers back to you, and you will be free to trade in the land.' They began emptying their sacks. There in each man's sack was his bag of money. When they and their father saw the money bags, they were scared to death. Their father Jacob said to them, 'You have taken my children away from me. Joseph is gone. Simon is gone. Now you want to take the Benjamin. Everything is going against me.' Then Reuben spoke to his father. He said, 'You can put both of my sons to death if I don't bring Benjamin back to you. Trust me to take care of him. I will bring him back.' But Jacob said, 'My son will not go down there with you. His brother is dead. He is the only one left here with me. Suppose he's harmed on the journey you are taking, then I would die as a sad old man.'